this what we've been waiting for? A path leading to the storm, a light that whispers in the dark, guiding me back to where I belong.
Imelda, thank you for having us in your home and just being with us here today.
Oh, it's a great pleasure for me.
When you were building Nutrimetics, what was the character and the identity of the Imelda at that point?
So my whole focus was providing as many women as possible with an opportunity, apart from being wives and mothers, to bring extra income into the family.
You know, with 85% of direct selling being largely women, how did that politically play out for you in your business? Because you were actively changing a culture of Australia. You were actively, whether you were aware of it or not.
Well, I think you've actually expressed that exactly as it was. There were not too many men who were enthusiastic about their wives going out in the evenings, because a lot of our presentations were in the evenings when people were at home. So very often, you know, the girls who joined the business in the very early days had some challenges from their husbands. And I elected fairly early on in the second or third year of the business to realise that the men weren't really naturally captured by what their wives were doing, even though they were bringing new income into the family.
Yeah.
So I decided that I would try and give the husbands a better understanding of what their wives were really doing.
Income is all about the options that it delivers you, really. It's never really about the money. It's about the choices.
Exactly right.
You get to make.
And her income was not just built on what she personally could achieve in the hours available to her in the day.
And I think that is the secret to direct marketing. The unique aspect of it is its ability to scale so substantially. And it's simply because the system is duplicatable. So it sounds like you would focus on setting up this consultant very well, ensuring that she had the skills and the know-how on how to set up, then again, in turn, the next person and the next person, the next business partner, the next Nutrimetics consultant, and expand her business.
Can I interrupt here to say that we said to every woman who stepped up from being a consultant to the first stage of management that your success will depend on how many other women you can inspire to tread the same path.
And that's why it's about community. And perhaps that is something unique of direct selling, is your success is their success, essentially you're saying, and that builds a group winning mentality.
We had such a culture that when we would bring together women at least twice a year from all of our states, our leading women for a corporate meeting, they would create or build relationships. A New South Wales girl with a Queenslander with a South Australian with a Western Australian. And when they were together, they would form a very, very close and workable culture with one another. It wasn't unusual for one of our senior leaders in say, Queensland, on invitation from somebody from South Australia, to travel down because she was having a conference for all of her people in her group in South Australia. And she would invite one of the directors, say from Queensland or New South Wales, to travel and be part of that conference, so that they would do that. Women, the leading women in each state would do that for one another.
Do you feel that you increase the quality of life of these women in your business?
Oh, unquestionably, unquestionably. It gave them the opportunity, it gave the family the opportunity. If they were living in a suburb that they didn't enjoy to live in, they could accumulate enough income to be able to make the move to somewhere where they would prefer to live and to choose the schools that they wanted to send their children to. And I tried to encourage as many women as I possibly could to consider becoming independent entrepreneurs.
You've seen so many women scale to 7, 8-figure businesses. Was there any character traits or any habits or the style and manner in which they ran their business? We understand that the success of the direct marketing industry is largely about duplicating the system. It's about the community and it's about value adding. But what traits did the uber successful on 7, 8 figures, what traits did they show that you could share with perhaps some listeners out there that want to give it a go in their life?
Well, we trained or encouraged most of the girls that were doing well in the business. When they personally introduced a new person to the business, they would take them to their own presentations on the basis that I'm going to show you how. I'm not going to tell you how I do what I do. I'm going to show you how. And basically, we don't train our consultants to sell. We train them how to create an environment in which people want to buy.
So the people that truly succeed within the direct selling market, you've really got to consider the skills and also the limitations, because it is largely around your community or your ability to meet new people, isn't it?
Yeah.
And a lot of that is best done face to face. If we look at the direct selling business, I think it's fair to say the very first influencers were the direct salespeople, without fail. They were out there, whether they were doing demonstrations or holding, a 7 o'clock meeting on a Tuesday or Thursday, like they still do to this day. Millions of people are still within this industry, and it's turning over, 800 million in Australia alone and absolutely billions globally.
Can I say to you here and now, I would not have been able to do what I was able to do with my life without having found a man like Bill to bring into my life. He made it possible for me to do what I did.
Absolutely. So can you tell me more about Bill?
Bill had lots of interests that were different to mine, and even though we worked together in Nutrimetics and built Nutrimetics together, I was always front of house. I suppose if you say, I would share the story, but he was in charge of the back end, and he looked after everything that is needed to run a successful business from the back end.
And have you noticed any expectational shifts or what stands out to you, of how things have changed over the last 50 years in Australia?
There is too much expectation of things that are just their natural right, rather than, an earned right.
And I think that's a core lesson within direct selling. If you look at the whole culture of what I've observed in the direct selling, as you know, my husband and I just purchased, the largest channel for essential services 18 months ago. And what I've seen in that culture is very much something perhaps we've lived our whole life with, which is that empowerment. It's that realization that you are enough and you have enough, and whatever it is that you want to achieve, you just go step by step, one
Absolutely.
small step each day.
Can I make a single comment that I used to say to so many girls? You are the architect of your own life unless you release that privilege to somebody else, which I would not recommend. You're the architect of your own life. You determine what it is you want to achieve in life and what are the obstacles that might prevent you from doing that, and what can you do to remove those obstacles. If you can't climb the mountain or go around it, you have to learn to tunnel under it, whichever way. But you're the architect of your life.
Imelda, your mental capacity, your ability to want to be your best, to expand your ability, it sounds like it's something you've worked out throughout your life.
And one of the things that's important, and I used to say to every woman who worked with me and who had a family and had many other responsibilities, you have to learn to compartmentalise, so that if something is going wrong in one aspect of your life, you don't let everything collapse around you. You compartmentalise your life, and if there's a problem over here, it should not affect the other 4 or 5 things that you have committed to or have a responsibility for in your life. Just put that aside for the moment until you can get to it and deal with it. Don't let it affect your whole life.
Back to the qualities, I really want to coin this question, but what skills and qualities did you see from the people that truly succeeded at a national level in your business?
I would advise them to concentrate on how many other people they could make equally successful, and how many others you could bring up to your level of success, and that would project you to a further level of achievement, but make sure you bring everybody you can along with you.
Absolutely.
I find that the best way to achieve anything in life is by doing.
One of the biggest attributing factors of somebody succeeding within the direct sales business is to create or emulate other successful people just as successful as they are. So that comes back to in the doing.
And I would encourage each of them to think entrepreneurial.
Absolutely. Yeah. So to think big.
Yeah.
To think big. What advice would you give to your 35-year-old self and the millions of people that will watch this?
Well, I'd probably say one of the first things you need to do is have a good one-on-one conversation with yourself, being able to assess what your true skills and talents are, what you've shown a capability in doing, know and understand what you would like to achieve in your life and what that will take, and come to the decision that you're prepared to do everything that is required to achieve your goals in life, and make sure that you learn to compartmentalise, so when you come up with disappointments, it doesn't destroy your focus on your life because you've been disappointed. You're going to have a myriad of disappointments in your life, either personally or with other people, because sometimes we tend to have too much expectation of other people.
That's right.
And of course then we become disappointed. But recognise that every situation you want is, or every situation you deal with is present time, and you deal with it in the present time in the best possible way you can, and think about how that's going to influence what you're going to do in the interim time and the, should I say, the immediate, interim and long term, and how that's going to influence you. So if you're having a meaningful conversation, make sure you embed it in your thoughts, that I'm going to decide how I'm going to use what I've learned here today in the immediate, in the midterm, and in the ultimate time. So let those meaningful things stay with me and be embedded in my thinking, and always, remind yourself in every circumstance that I am the architect of my life. Anything that happens in my life, if it is to be, it's up to me. It's not up to anybody else to do it for me. They're the two guiding principles.
There's just so much great advice that you've shared with us. I thank you for being on the show. I thank you for your candidness, your authenticity, and I look forward to speaking again.
Is this what we've been waiting for?